So Dave, thank you very much for coming back to the Future Leader Forum, this time in a different time, at a different time, at a time where we are going through the COVID crisis. So just to get a bit of feedback that would be helpful for future leaders and leaders in other industries and maybe in your industry. Can you tell us how has COVID-19 impacted your business and your industry?
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Nick. It's good to chat to you again and to share information and share where we are at this time. Interesting changes, I guess a rework at where we are with business, but just to have a look at the impact, first of all, to our business. We have had 32 or 31 years of really awesome growth and opportunity, and we're just in the throes of a new phase of the business with a merger with a reasonably big practice that would have taken us to a whole new level of company. It would have taken us from 40 staff to around about 200. And probably 2 days before we actually signed that contract for the merger, we went into lockdown. Yeah. So that stopped all momentum with the merger, and the merger partners got into conversation with us quite quickly, within a day or two, and we spoke about what this means for us as two companies coming together. We made the decision not to proceed with the merger because of different staff, different leadership styles, different management styles. And so we decided that each one of us would continue navigating the ship for each of our own companies and kind of work through what are we doing with expenses and costs and overheads, not understanding what the impact of COVID was going to be on the business.
Right.
So they continued. We put our head down and we started just looking at first things first. What does this thing mean for our customers? And started speaking to our customers and started speaking to as many people as we could in the industry, and kind of set a strategy around what we thought was going to be a 30% drop-off in customer payments and customer billing within a very short period of time. So that had an impact on the nature of employing staff, looking after nearly 40 people. And part of our business strategy is to care for people. So we made the decision not to retrench. We kept on full salaries, and we just said we're going to tighten the belt and we're going to do what we can.
Right.
Very early on in the process, I started listening to other business leaders, the Small Business Chamber, Real Summits, Willow Creek, and a couple of other key strategic people, Robin Banks and guys like this that are generally positive business people.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time, probably the first week, on lots of webinars, lots of learning, listening to what other people were doing, and then formulating a strategy for First Consulting to drive forward. And so we did that. The impact has been okay for us. We have lost a couple of customers. Some of the mining customers, the mines have decided to close down because there's no market for them.
Right.
And with health risks and things as well, they just decided they were shutting down. And so those are big ticket items for us. And so we've had to navigate through that minefield a little bit as well. But we're managing cash very carefully. We're communicating with customers almost daily on their needs, on their experiences, on their personal situation, how they're doing, how their family's doing. And we're spending a lot of time listening to our customers and what their needs are. then trying to meet those needs. So if they're asking to cut costs, we're finding ways where we can cut costs, where we can look at possibly extending credit terms to help them through cash crisis. And we see where we land up at the end of it. I think we've got another probably 2 months of cash struggles. So it's been tight, it's been difficult, but with communication, constant review of cash flows, and communicating with customers and suppliers. We have paid 100% of salaries. We have paid every single supplier in full, and we have met every single financial commitment. And if it carries on along those trends with our customers, we will come out of this okay. It'll be different, but we'll come out okay. So in our business, thank God we're fine. In terms of the industry, phenomenal opportunity. I hate to say there's opportunity in pain and suffering, but from a technology point of view, just the fact of how we're conferencing now and how just about every business has started operating over the last 2.5 months is through Microsoft Teams and Zoom primarily as the platforms. People got up and in 2 days converted from working in an office environment to working from a home environment, no firewall, no security, no managed service security, completely unknown. And that brought us into a new dimension with customers to start looking at how do we secure homes? How do we secure remote offices and all of this conferencing that's going on where people are sharing critical information. So the opportunity for the industry certainly is connectivity, communication, security, as we go forward. Traditional business, traditional break fix is a problem. And I think that is just, all we've done is fast forwarded, I think, what we should have been doing 2 to 3 to 4 years ago. We have just fast forwarded in 2 months to get to that place with things like Office 365, Microsoft 365, Teams, Zoom, and security. We have just accelerated to that point. So yeah, from our industry point of view, I think looking at Microsoft and these guys, it's a boom for them as well as the telcos, obviously.
And Dave, what are the biggest lessons you've learned from this COVID crisis?
A lesson I learned very early was actually to reach out and thank our customers. We get into such a routine and such a drive in pushing business, pushing productivity, pushing product, to actually sit back and we contacted, I want to say, every customer and just said thank you for your support. And sorry that we've taken so long to get to this point where we actually come to appreciate our partnership in business. So lesson number 1 was to be thankful for our customers and for our partnership with our customers. Lesson number 2 was not to take anything for granted, not to assume anything, and to communicate regularly. One of the webinars that we did said, even if you've got nothing to say, still make contact and say, I've got nothing new to tell you, but I just want you to know we are still looking at this. Your backups are still fine. Your security, let me show you a report to show you what your users are doing at home. So just that interaction and communication of relevant information and the right kind of communication were the 2 biggest learnings. For me, cash management has always been critical. From our financial background, I think I understood cash flow and cash management quite well. This just honed us into that much more around looking at cash and looking at cash management more carefully. So yeah, those were some really critical learnings very early on in the process that we went through.
And Dave, as we navigate into the next normal in the new economy, what is your advice for future leaders? What does it take to succeed in this new economy?
Tough question. What is the future? Or how long is the future? I think this thing caught us by surprise that it happened so quickly. So I think just real prudent advice would be to say, keep cash reserves. A lot of the webinars we did showed the stats that for the average SME, 1 to 1.5 months cash reserve is kind of what they have. So a lot of the SMEs struggled cash flow wise purely because the SME operates as a personal business often. And so it doesn't matter if the owner buys personal stuff through the business and the cash reserves aren't left in the business.
Yeah.
So advice going forward with hindsight would be to say, leave your investment, leave your cash in the business, keep your business cash flow, have wise investments in the business itself. Act like a corporate with corporate governance, and don't see this as a small business. I think this thing has taught us that all businesses are down at the same level at this time. It's how you respond that determines whether you survive or not. So cash is king. Make sure that you have got cash in the business to carry overheads. Make sure that you are operating lean and mean. In good times, I think we all get a little bit fat. And so the entertainment account grows and grows. Connectivity costs, we found when we looked at what we were doing with connectivity was dumb. And we found solutions for our staff at home as well as our offices that were much better, more affordable, faster, more reliable. And so we spent time analyzing our expenses. So that would be another piece of advice, would be to say, know what you're spending and know what you're spending it on. And then make sure you've got the right people. Again, in good times, it's easy to take on people and to build a bulk in the business and to cater for a what if, what if somebody's off sick? What if somebody leaves? We built quite a lot of fat into the business around having more than 1 or 2 people who can fill a role. So it's to think around those things and maybe to say, what expenses can I have as completely flexible? So I don't have a big overhead every month, but I have more flexible stuff like outsourcing to contractors for HR and other aspects of the business. Something we're looking at is offering contracting opportunities to people who have been made redundant and saying, if you want a contract, we can give you hourly work. We can't give you a fixed salary, but we can give you hourly work and commit to that. So from an overheads point of view, try and keep your overheads as low as possible and try and keep everything as flexible income. Very little fixed overhead, very little fixed overhead. Primarily something that very quickly you can terminate if the situation requires that. So I guess flexibility, lean and mean, and keep your cash. Don't spend your cash unnecessarily. That's kind of what I would advise as learnings with hindsight.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for sharing your insights into how to navigate this crisis and the crisis that might be popping up in the future. And before we leave you, how can our listeners connect with you?
Probably LinkedIn. I'm trying to get reasonably active on LinkedIn and pick up my social media interaction. But our website is fcaafrica.co.za. We are active on Facebook with regular posts around COVID, advice on backup and security, and trying to put some information. So LinkedIn, Facebook, and the web. And my email address, if you want to email me just to chat or ask for advice, I'm open to to share is dave@firstconsulting.co.za.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And all the best.
Awesome.
For the future.
Thank you, Dr. Nick, and stay well and stay safe.
You too.